I think for me, the biggest part that was memorable was just how confusing the play was for the majority of it. While I was reading it, I was very confused. It jumped around a lot, and I really didn't have much of a sense of what was going on or why they were just talking normally for the majority of the play. Just I couldn't really see much meaning in it until I had finished the entire thing. So the third act, I it's significant to the piece because a lot of what they were saying in the third act is stuff that I guess the actors themselves in their post-apocalyptic world would be saying, like, don't give up hope and you're strong and everything will be all right. But it's a cartoon world where everything is not all right. So I think that kind of parallels what is happening to the actors themselves, how everything really is not all right. Even though they have to say, like, don't give up hope and everything like that. And so, what I think this play is about, I think it is kind of a message of, like, don't give up hope and sort of a story of, like, being a post-apocalyptic, but it's also just seeing how life goes on after something like this. I think it's also trying to say, like, beware of nuclear, because I think that's how this happened. But also the whole play was just showing how life continued on and how people talked normally and they laughed even after this terrible thing happened. So, yeah, I think the audience, they should take away like the don't give up hope kind of message, even if everything is very bad, which things are getting kind of bad in a lot of places around the world. And so the Cape Fear episode that we watched in week one, I really would say, at least for the first act, that you would have to have read it or have seen the episode, not read it. But yeah, I mean, while I was reading it, I was seeing the episode play through in my mind, and I could imagine for someone that had never seen that episode or had not seen it recently, how confusing that first act would have been, and also just how the third act would have been, since it has sort of the same setting. I just think it would have been very confusing and would have taken away from the message of the play, since the audience would be too confused to really think about what was happening. And so some of the popular stories, I don't really know too many movies, but I can imagine something, say as The Walking Dead, sans zombies, happening where there's very few people, very few resources, or maybe even Mad Max, but not a lot of water, just because, water is in short supply and stuff like that. So I could see that happening.